In the previous video on my ABC conversion on this SL500, I talked about the modification I made in the trunk, and now I'm going to talk about the modification I made under the hood. And once again, if you have not been around these R230s with ABC suspension, you won't notice much difference here. But if you have been, you're going to see there's a whole bunch of stuff missing, gone forever. And not everyone does this when they do a coilover conversion on these ABC systems, but I think that everybody should do the modification I've done here, because later on in this video I'm going to explain one of the side benefits of doing what you see right here. Notice this. You know, there's a bunch of stuff that was right in here, a couple of tanks, you know, and hoses and everything. And then down here there was a big monstrous pump. Let me show you the setup that I installed in here, because I know it's really hard to see down in here. What you see here is a standard power steering pump off another vehicle with the M113 engine. This is the factory reservoir tank that installs on top of the pump, and then here's a special clip that locks the tank in place. And watch how easily this pump spins. It's very lightweight. It has virtually no drag on the engine, and when installed down in here, it just looks like another factory M113 installation. Now, I'm going to take you over the bench now and show you what I removed. So here is everything I removed permanently from my SL500. This is the tank that holds the fluid for the ABC system. Here's the bracket that holds the tank in place. This is the tank that holds the fluid for the power steering. And then this is the pump. Now this is a tandem pump, has two chambers. It produces, you know, pressure for the power steering in a different chamber, and the other chamber produces pressure and flow for the ABC suspension. But this pump weighs almost 20 pounds. And when you spin this pump compared to the other one, it has a phenomenal amount of drag, and you can imagine how much drag this has when it's producing almost 3,000 psi of pressure. Now, many people leave this pump in place. In fact, some of the outfits that sell the coilover shocks say, well, just leave it in place and plug the other end of the lines that go into the 4 hydraulic struts. Now, some people install this newer style power steering pump and they leave this tank and they try to bugger up a fitting to get this hose to fit right on here, and that can be done, but I wanted a really clean installation, so I used the factory tank, and that's why it looks so non-ABC in my engine compartment now. But one of the things I realized driving this car over the last few weeks is two things. Number one, it's very nimble in the steering because I've reduced a lot of weight in the front end. Yes. The other thing is the car's faster. Literally faster off the line. When you punch it, you can notice a difference. And I believe that part of that is getting rid of this big pump. Now, if you leave the pump in place, you're at risk of having to change it out sometime later in the future, because you still have pressure pumping through all your hoses. And we've talked about the problem with those hoses getting old and leaking. So for the reasons of reliability, handling, performance, and speed, get rid of the ABC pump. So now you're thinking, well, what about all those hydraulic lines and those other components that are in the system? The ones that are sitting under those fender panels on the left side, all the hoses running everywhere. You can leave them. They're all disconnected when you install the new pump, but I recommend you remove all that stuff just to clean the car up. And when you're looking at the valve blocks and the accumulators and the hoses and the lines, plus the addition of the fluid being removed from everything, you're talking about 100 pounds. So you're going to be able to eliminate another 100 pounds. You've got the car up in the air. You've already got everything all apart. I recommend you just pull that stuff, and as a bonus, you might be able to sell some of it for some money on eBay. Now on to the kit I am offering. I had originally thought about packaging this whole kit as one product. And the more I thought about it, I said, well, that may not work, because Some people may have already changed the pump and maybe they want to upgrade to this tank. Other people, are thinking, well, gee, I just want the pump, because if I just install the pump, you can still use the original power steering tank. You're going to have to take this hose and get it around here and get it clamped right there. It will work. So it's kind of a personal preference, and that's why I decided to offer this kit as 3 products. Let's talk about the pump, because I'm just going to sell the pump by itself with complete instructions on how to remove this big pump and install this one. If you notice, there's a couple really cool things about this. The attach points are the same. The width of the bracket is the same, so you can use the 2 original bolts here. The pulleys are the same diameter and they line up exactly the same, so you don't have to worry about changing your serpentine belt. It's a real slick conversion to just get this pump off and install this pump. Now, if you want to put the tank on, I've included some other items with the tank, including some tools. You're going to have to tap out a hole on the engine block. The hole's already there, but the threads aren't, to mount the bolt right in here. And then I'm including the clip and the seal that you'll need to get this tank secured to the top of the pump here. And here is a hose. You might be wondering what that's for. That's to help you flush the system once you get this all mounted up. And then I'm going to offer the magnetic filter as a separate item as well. Some people will want the magnetic filter. I kind of like it because it gives added protection to the pump. And I will include some extra hose and a couple of clamps. If you don't get the magnetic filter, you're going to have to modify the return hose from the original ABC system to get it routed back into the return nipple on this reservoir tank here. So you can go to my website, you can choose any number of these products that you want to add to your own ABC conversion. The biggest surprise is the speed of the car by getting rid of this heavy pump and all those other components. This thing is fast now. I'm sorry, I just can't help myself. Ever since getting rid of that extra weight and drag, all I want to do is punch this thing, because it's just so much fun. It's just so much fun to punch it.